What are the key differences between Jira and Confluence for Scrum, and how do they affect team performance? Hey there, my name is Josh Vector. I'm one of the founders here at Product HQ, and I'm also the head of product at a software company called Squibbler. And in this video, we'll break down the differences between the software products Jira and Confluence. This is specifically in the context of a Scrum team. But before we do that, make sure to subscribe to our channel so you can get content whenever we come out with new videos on how to become better with building great products. Now let's go ahead and start off with Jira. So Jira initially started off as a bug and issue tracker, and over time it evolved into a general work management software. It is useful for tracking and managing the scope of the tasks needed for product management. And the product is owned by the Australian tech company Atlassian, which also owns Confluence and Trello. According to Atlassian, over half the users of the software use it for agile projects. Here's what the dashboard looks like. You've got a product backlog, which is your to-do list for your product. Then above that is a sprint backlog, which are the items that you are going to tackle in your sprint. So it's basically a matter of dragging and dropping product backlog items into the sprint backlog. Then for your actual sprint, you've got a menu like this. And this is what's known as a Kanban board. Here you have 3 tabs. One is your to-do list. The second is work in progress. And the third is what has been done. Here's what it looks like when it's fully up. Another interesting feature of Jira is the product roadmap. This is a useful tool where you show the product roadmap in relation to calendar months in the year. And this gives you an idea of what Jira looks like day to day during a Scrum. And there are lots of other products and features, but Jira has 3 main benefits. It's useful for planning, tracking, and releasing backlog items. So what are the pros of Jira? Well, the first advantage is that it's great for organizing the big picture. One of the key things we emphasize on our course on product management is that you always need to be looking ahead. And the product roadmap feature easily tracks work during the Scrum. And the second is that it provides one view for user stories. And the third is that you can integrate it with other software. You're able to integrate it with Confluence, but also non-Atlassian products such as Slack and HipChat. And the fourth is that it's easy to use and you don't need to be a developer or a software engineer to understand it. And a Scrum team has members from all different backgrounds, so this is definitely a big advantage. So what are the cons though? Well, one of the main complaints about Jira is that its mobile app is not very friendly. Users say that it doesn't work as smoothly as a desktop app. Another common complaint is that it's difficult to integrate or migrate with other application lifecycle management systems. Thirdly, users also have flagged issues with reports. You are not able to download the reports as images. And lastly, the user interface is often considered quite cluttered and confusing at times. So now that we've discussed Jira, let's go ahead and take a look at Confluence. So Confluence is also a type of work management software. It's also owned by Atlassian. While Jira is usually used to map and track your Scrum, Confluence is more about content. For any Scrum, there's going to be documentation that every team member will need access to. And in Confluence, you have the ability to store all of your sprint meeting minutes and store knowledge bases from past projects, blogs, and checklists, and anything else that's needed. As you can see, you can create a space based on the documentation you'd like to create. And there are also team options where other members can comment on these posts and give their thoughts too. And one of Jira's key distinguishers is its calendar. You can track things like employee vacations, travel plans, and get an idea of who is in the office and working on this project. And if we look at the next image here, you can even use this calendar to display your Jira issues. You're able to use it to plan sprints and map out system deployment schedules. You can link this calendar to other calendars of team members and even to your own Google Calendar. And this is one of the key differences as Jira does not have the same calendar option. So Jira and Confluence complement each other. You can even link these two together. And a Scrum can use Jira for the day-to-day planning and tracking, and then use Confluence to share added information with the Scrum team. And you can use a documentation on Confluence to assist with your planning on Jira. And similarly, you can create data and documentation for Confluence by using data tracked on Jira. So let's just sum up the main uses of Confluence here. Confluence is useful for storing long-form documentation, and all the information artifacts needed can be stored and accessed through this product. As we saw with the calendar, it's also useful for future planning. So what are the pros and cons of Confluence? Well, like Jira, one of the biggest pros for Confluence is its integration. You can integrate it with other Atlassian products, as well as some Google products too. Another advantage is a collaborative aspect. Although administrators can manage permissions, pretty much everyone on the team is able to add to the documentation and knowledge base. And thirdly, the analytics on this product are also useful. You can even track how many views each document gets to find out which were the most useful to the Scrum team. Now let's go ahead and look at the cons. One of the main problems users have flagged up is this search option. This is a common complaint and doesn't work as well as standard search engines. Another con commonly referred to online is the over-reliance on plugins. This can be particularly problematic for startups on tight budgets, as a lot of these plugins cost money. And that just brings us to the end of this video here. And there we have it. We just covered the differences between Jira and Confluence and also some of the similarities. So you should have a good idea of what they do and also how they interact with each other. And again, Jira is more focused on planning and tracking, whereas Confluence is more about documentation and content. Now, obviously, Jira and Confluence are not the only software out there for Scrum. In other videos, we explain a lot of other products that you can use for Scrum as well. And if you feel like you have a better idea of what these two products do, Confluence and Jira, then make sure to go ahead and give our video a like, subscribe to our channel for future videos on how to become great at building great products. And I'll go ahead and see you on those. Cheers.